right, guys, welcome back. This is Of Stone and Clay, episode 138. Today we are here with Martin Palmer. Martin is a dear friend of my producer, and Martin is a psychotherapist. And how long have you been a psychotherapist?
I'm just gonna wait you out. 2 years.
Okay, nice. And what got you into the field?
Probably, well, first there's like a predisposition, like the way I think about things. But experientially, probably just the need to see a therapist.
Right.
And then having such a great experience.
Okay. Were you always, like you said, maybe your predisposition, were you always just interested in communication or the human experience or mental health, or what was it that you maybe always gravitated towards?
Well, it probably developed in childhood. I think it was more like wanting love, and then starting to look at my family of origin, and then like teenage years, I think probably a little too early, I started thinking about marriage and was like looking at my parents' marriage and trying to learn from it. And I had this experience in, I think it was my freshman year in college, where the sociology professor, he put 3 words on the board, and he's like, there was a sociology researcher that found there was a common thread with these 3 distinct descriptors. And they were bachelor, wealthy, and Christian. And he asked us if we had any insight or ideas of what could have connected them. Because he said it was important to the researcher because they were common to death by suicide.
Oh, interesting.
I mean, for most people, that's not intuitive. Bachelor, wealthy, Christian.
Yeah, I wouldn't have put wealthy in there. Christian, not necessarily, but I think just it's more of a Western epidemic, I would say. Is that accurate?
Well, what about Japan?
Right. Yeah.
Like,
that's a little bit more recent, right? Than historically.
I don't know, but so the society kind of, the culture, society drives that. But yeah, I think you're onto something. Like, there are also weaknesses in Western culture. Anyway, so I tell you this because I want your audience to think I'm wise.
Sure, yeah. Ideally.
But I just looked at it and I said, I raised my hand, and then the professor called on me.
Yeah, that'll happen.
Sorry. So, anyways, I responded, high independence.
Okay.
And I was right. But it was really funny because the professor was like, oh, someone's been reading ahead.
Oh.
And I was like, what? That wouldn't be me.
He's like pissed off that you got it right.
Yeah. I didn't realize I was stealing his thunder.
Yeah.
It was like a riddle he wanted us to stew on. Anyway, there are communities within the Christian community that see their salvation as, I'm free of responsibility. And So whatever I do, I'm still saved.
Yeah.
And that's not very good on our mental, emotional health.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, I think the reason this is coming out right now that I'm talking about this is because I want your audience to think I'm wise, and two, experiences like that kind of drove home this idea that I thought about things
Mm-hmm.
a certain way.
Yeah.
I would like to think that it helps me as a therapist.
Right. What is that certain way? Is it just sort of being obsessed with why humans behave in certain ways?
Probably some of that. Um, yeah. Although I'd say more recently, I've cared less about the why.
Mm-hmm.
Um, honestly, I think my personal neurodivergence, my brand of neurodivergence,
Mm-hmm.
or whatever it is, I see connections where they're not intuitive.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that helps because in therapy, like you can imagine, somebody comes in and they want to vent and they want validation.
Mm-hmm.
What's the effect of validating everything? Well, one of the effects is probably that um, you don't challenge your own thinking.
Mm-hmm.
So not that a therapist is there to like full board challenge somebody, but I think an excellent therapist will do a mixture of validation, gentle response, and some kind of curiously questioning
Yeah.
the way we're thinking.
Right.
So um, it helps to see things in a kind of weird way
Mm-hmm.
sometimes.
Okay. Yeah. So you can challenge things in a unique way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But I really like what you said earlier about just being intrigued or curious about why people do what they do.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think curiosity leads to uh, challenging your own thinking
Mm-hmm.
in a good, safe way.
Yeah.
You don't want to pull the foundation out from under people. So if I model curiosity in session,
Mm-hmm.
like I don't know, I'm not the expert on your life.
Right.
Um, in fact, I would like to think I'm not the expert on really many things
Mm-hmm.
at all. Then that makes it easier for the client to go into a curious mind space.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. When you started going to therapy, what were some early breakthroughs for you that got you really excited and maybe kind of cracked open some new paradigms for you?
Hmm. Yeah, that's an interesting question because I think what my therapist was really good at
Mm-hmm.
was listening.
Yeah.
And I don't think a good therapist is someone who just listens for the same reason that a good therapist isn't somebody who just validates
Yeah.
everything. That would only make sense if the client were only able to receive validation right now.
Mm-hmm.
That's what they need. But ultimately, we want them to go out and live their life agentically. So to answer your question, um, as a client, it was a breakthrough for me to experience someone think that my thinking was sound or healthy.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like in a lot of ways I was mentally an island.
Because you felt crazy,
Um,
or that your thoughts were. crazy or unhinged or whatever.
Yeah, my childhood wasn't very affirming.
Uh-huh.
Um, I'll I'll tell this just mostly because it's funny, but in Samoan culture, um, a, a lot of Samoan parents. My mom is Samoan,
Okay.
from Samoa. Value keeping their children humble.
Mm-hmm.
Self-promotion is just hilarious in Samoan culture, and it's very often criticized.
Yeah.
So I remember being really young and wanting some, I don't know what you'd call it, but some reassurance from my mom.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, Mom, I could be a model, huh?
She's like, for what?
Exactly. She's like, yes, for dog food. And I was like, oh, this is my mother. Anyways,
Yeah.
childhood was not very affirming or reassuring.
Yeah.
And I kind of isolated through my teenage years.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, once you started going to therapy and started sort of asking yourselves these new questions, what did you discover was maybe the impetus for your struggle or for your unhappiness?
Mm. In my case, the most concise answer was a legacy burden.
Mm.
In other words, the the burdens that the people I cared about carried because something had happened to them.
Mm.
So what my mom went through, or what she didn't have,
Yeah.
what my wife didn't have growing up, or how she experienced love.
Yeah.
So for me, it was very relational.
So um you started going because why?
Because my wife at the time um, just sent me a text one day and said, it'd be best if you weren't home when I got there.
It's not a great text.
It really was not.
Did you know there was some disharmony, or were you kind of blindsided?
I was completely blindsided.
Really?
In fact, people were telling us that we had the relationship they would want,
Mm.
that they loved the way we parented, the
Yeah.
way we spoke in our home.
Mm-hmm.
And by a lot of measures, we were doing
A lot of things right.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like if you were to just, therapists don't do this, but if a therapist was like, do you have rituals going on? Are you affectionate? Do you use a variety of ways of expressing or showing love? What about common values? Like everything would have been satisfied
Yeah.
except the legacy burden
Mm-hmm.
that existed in my wife at the time.
Okay. So what was your response to that text?
Just confusion.
Yeah.
And I actually, this is very typical of trauma, but the events surrounding that all are kind of jumbled for me.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because it was so emotional, I very clearly remember moments.
Yeah.
But I think I took the kids over to my parents and was there while I tried to figure out what's going on.
Mm-hmm. Help me understand a little better this legacy burden. I'm not sure I fully understand what that means.
I don't think a lot of therapists use that term,
Mm-hmm.
but it's the term I use to explain generational processes.
Mm-hmm.
So if my grandfather was abused, I would expect him to struggle with hurting my mom,
Right.
or having anger within him that he's
Mm-hmm.
internalized and not dealt with. So you could guess what that would do for my mom.
Mm-hmm.
And then you could guess what that would do for me
Yeah.
growing up with my mom
Mm-hmm.
carrying this burden.
Right. Right.
So that's all it
Okay.
means to me.
Just sort of another phrase for generational trauma.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the issue was that you were carrying on to that, or that your wife was?
She had hers.
Yeah. And was just not dealing with it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so did you kind of know that, but you felt like whatever, she was doing the best she could, or?
I thought she was dealing with it and that in many ways had overcome the effects of it.
Yeah.
I don't think I was naive enough to think that it was going to go away completely or heal completely.
Yeah. You just thought you guys were okay.
Yeah, I thought we were making progress.
Yeah. In hindsight, do you feel like there's things that you could have done better or that you weren't attending to, or was it basically the ship was going to sink regardless?
Gratefully, I didn't feel that there was anything I could have done better. But it took some third perspective views to feel the weight of that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, a therapist told me, you didn't do anything wrong.
Yeah.
This isn't your fault. And that felt really powerful.
Right. Because it's probably hard to believe that initially, because you're like, well, then why did she want to leave me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's this interesting phenomenon with abuse or when something unwanted happens to us. And it's that the person very often tries to take responsibility for it.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, if a child is abused, I must deserve this somehow. And I think part of the reason is because of what you just said. That's how deeply we need to feel that we're in control of a situation where we feel we have no control.
Yeah. Yeah.
It feels better to blame myself or to take responsibility than to feel totally powerless.
Right. Because at least you can name it. Right.
Yeah.
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 So how were you able to eventually heal from that? Like it sounds like you had a really, in a lot of ways, wonderful relationship and marriage and family and life, and then it kind of gets pulled out from under you pretty out of the blue.
In therapy language, I would say corrective emotional experience.
Mm-hmm.
The trauma teaches us really strong lessons, but they're very often false.
Mm-hmm.
And so then when we have a good or corrective emotional experience, it's almost like disproving the false lesson.
Okay, yeah.
Like, you are unlovable. And then someone loves you.
Mm-hmm.
I am lovable.
Right, right.
Um, riding a bike hurts. But then you learn how to ride the bike better.
Mm-hmm. And you put a seat softener on there.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's the real hurt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, that's cool. How important do you think self-esteem is?
Hmm. Do you have an answer already partly formulated?
I have my theories, but I don't know if I'm right.
Yeah. I think the importance of self-esteem is one of those things where it's helpful to think in multiple ways.
Mm-hmm.
Is it useful to think having a high self-esteem or really strong positive self-regard, is it good and healthy? Sure.
Yeah.
Okay, well, how do I get more of it?
Uh-huh.
That's kind of like the performative, possessive view of it. But you could also say self-esteem isn't something you can possess. It's more of a phenomenon that you experience when you're doing certain things in your life.
Right. When you're doing esteemable acts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there are many other ways to think about it.
Mm-hmm.
But there is kind of a debate of like, is self-esteem important? Is it good? Why do some people have poor self-esteem? I think the answer is the best answer is going to be multiple
Mm-hmm.
in its view, because people experience these abstract things multiply, right? Like I may not have been abused physically, but I don't esteem myself very well.
Mm-hmm.
So you wouldn't want to say to me, you need to work on boundaries, and you need to work on getting yourself into a safe environment.
Mm-hmm.
So, was that a good answer?
I think so. Yeah. I guess it's just I think it's often a question I wrestle with, and it's like, should I be it's almost this little vortex if you go there, but it's like, should I be concerned or upset if I'm not thinking really highly of myself, right?
Mm,
If I'm not loving myself adequately. And maybe I'm not hating myself or abusing myself, but I'm just thinking in not great ways about myself. You know. And at what point is that just me trying to be self-honest? And at what point is that um problematic? You
mm,
know? Does that make sense?
yeah. I think anytime you have two behaviors that are reasonably comparable, like um, self critique and self critique,
Mm-hmm.
they are, it's really useful to think, what's the motivation or the intention of it?
Mm-hmm.
So am I not thinking highly of myself because my intention is true humility, or is the intention um, fear? I'm afraid that if I'm not hard on myself, I won't perform well.
Right, or I'll fail. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so it's seeking what's the true intention behind this self-talk maybe.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which is, like another, and I think it's really cool to look at any behavior that way. Like, a woman might stay in her marriage, a woman might divorce. Um, but if she chose divorce because she's interested in somebody else, that's very different from she chose divorce because she needs to protect herself
Yeah.
from abuse.
Yeah.
And so it's really obvious with certain behaviors, but when it gets tricky of like, is this a good thing for me to think? then yeah,
Yeah.
look at the intention,
Okay,
the
yeah.
motivation. If that's too hard to figure out, try looking at the energy.
Mm-hmm.
How does it feel that when I am criticizing myself?
Right. Yeah, because in certain doses, I think, yeah, if your approach is right, it can be helpful because maybe it's motivating, or maybe it's how you sort of pump yourself up, you know,
Mm-hmm.
but it can quickly become you're just berating yourself,
Yeah.
you know. Do you feel like loving yourself is a prerequisite to truly love somebody else?
I think that's an okay way to look at it,
Mm-hmm.
but it's also okay to say no,
Mm-hmm.
because we not loving yourself is a sign of like some emotional wound.
Yeah.
And that doesn't necessarily mean you can't express or feel love towards other people.
Mm-hmm.
So, but is it true that if you don't love yourself at a 9, you will never be able to love your partner at a 10? Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe because one of the things that one of the things that we've seen in self-compassion research, and this comes from Dr. Kristen Neff, is that people who are connected to other people,
Mm-hmm.
like, I'm not trying to isolate myself. I know that you struggle, maybe not the same way, but you struggle like I struggle.
Mm-hmm.
Those people are better at treating themselves well.
Yeah.
Why is that? Because in the experience of interacting with you, I'm continually reminded of how to be kind to someone else.
Yeah.
And so we kind of have a bias in our mind. And so it's actually really helpful to talk to yourself in third person.
Mm-hmm.
That's just like one technique. It doesn't work
Yeah.
for everybody all the time.
Mm-hmm.
But it's helpful to talk to yourself in third person because we tend to receive positive thinking better when it's coming from an external source.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
So, like, if I borrow the voice of a coach or a mentor,
Mm-hmm.
then my mind might be more receptive.
Okay. And so there is actually some utility, even if it feels silly at first, to be like, Taylor, you're amazing, bro. You got this. Like, you've done the work. You're a good guy. Like, there's some utility in that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you're a spiritual person,
Mm-hmm.
you might practice that and feel something that feels spiritual within you, kind of confirming
Okay. Yeah.
the goodness or the truth of that.
Yeah.
Just like you do when you're kind to somebody and you feel really good.
Mm-hmm.
I believe you can experience that with being kind to yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a great point. How important do you think it is to, like, should people be overly concerned if they feel sad a lot? Or is sadness just an inevitable emotion that comes and goes and obviously affects everyone differently? Or should you be really sort of vigilant about your levels of sadness?
Mm. Sorry, I'm going to answer in multiple ways again.
Please, yeah.
One, you got to think about the relational aspect of your internal experience.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm always sad, then how will that affect you? Right. Um, but as far as like my own personal mental health, um, well, is it okay for me to be really sad a lot?
Mm-hmm.
Is that essentially the same question?
Yeah.
Okay. I think on an individual level, yeah, you couldn't say that that's really healthy to experience a lot of long-lasting sadness.
Mm-hmm.
But I think implied in what you just asked is it what's the effect of fighting against our sadness? I like this analogy that I came up with
Mm-hmm.
that nobody else seems to like very much.
Okay. Okay, sweet. Let's hear it.
If you imagine a SWAT officer,
Mm-hmm.
like in full gear, and you just see them not participating in this mission or operation that they're doing, and the officer is just like fighting a bug,
Mm-hmm.
that would be strange,
Yeah.
right? But you would have to say, at least for those moments, that bug is a worthy opponent.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
Because the officer is giving it all of its attention and
Mm-hmm.
energy.
You're right. Yeah.
And so whenever somebody has something that's unwanted,
Mm-hmm.
like unwanted sexual behavior, or a lot of sadness,
Mm-hmm.
or depression, if you fight against that thing, it reaffirms it as a worthy opponent.
Mm.
But if I accept it on some level, we see people then are able to make progress.
Okay.
So I think that's one way to answer the too much sadness question.
Yeah.
We don't need to like wage war on our sadness,
Mm-hmm.
but we also don't need to like sit in that emotion just to make progress. I think that's a little reductive,
Yeah.
but it's kind of cliche right now.
Yeah.
Sit in that emotion.
Uh-huh.
My arm really hurts. Oh, is it that cut? Just sit in that.
Sit in that cut.
Sit in that emotion.
Yeah. Yeah. What do you do when you feel sort of a wave of sadness come on and you know this is going to be unpleasant and this is going to be maybe bring up some stuff for me I don't want to think about because that'll make me more sad. Do you kind of just accept it and try to feel it and sit in it for a minute and then try to move on, or what's your approach?
I feel like I'm not asking you any questions,
You can.
but like, am I letting you ask too many questions?
No, you're doing great. Do
Okay.
it. Do whatever you want to do.
Okay. Sorry for the edit, Tommy.
No, you're good.
So what was the question again? Oh, how do I handle my sadness?
Yeah.
My personal approach to any unwanted emotion is usually multiple
Mm-hmm.
in approach.
I really like this real quick, just because you're telling people that it's nuanced, right? These emotions are really complex, and so it's not just I feel this, I guess I do this, and now it's fixed.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah, which is our challenge with social media, right? It's necessarily a little reductive.
Uh-huh.
It's a little abbreviated.
Yeah.
And people don't love taking on the full multiple approach and nuanced approach.
Mm-hmm.
Like something a little easier.
Yeah.
Anyway, so with my sadness, I would do multiple things. I would try to bring awareness. If it's relational, then I might try to repair or connect.
Mm-hmm.
If it's like there's no apparent reason, then I might do an embodied or somatic approach,
Mm-hmm.
like go exercise, play a sport, or even shaking. And then I'm not sure what to call this, but it's kind of like strength training for your emotions.
Okay.
And so to me, that means like some distress tolerance. In other words, training my brain to not panic when I'm uncomfortable.
Okay, yeah.
And then it might mean thought work, where if I have negative thought, I'm going to try to think of it. Track it?
Yeah.
What does that mean?
Just kind of track what's the genesis of this negative thought, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Is that what you meant?
Yeah, I wasn't going there because sometimes we'll have a negative thought and we feel frustrated. We can't figure out why we do. And so I would think instead, okay, I've had this negative thought. What would be a neutral thought about this situation? Okay, now what's a positive thought? We have to be careful with the positive thoughts because if we're already in a negative mind space, we will reject it so quickly.
Okay, yeah.
Right? And so we just incrementally, like, if I tell myself, Martin, you're the best therapist in North America, my brain immediately rejects it.
Yeah, you're like, okay, pal. Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But if I say, Martin, you were very compassionate with that client.
Yeah.
I'm able to accept and believe that.
Yeah.
And so I can incrementally improve my thinking about myself. So there's multiple approaches.
Yeah. I like that.
Can I just say something about that?
Yeah.
I find that most of our emotional mental problems, they're multiple in cause or attribution or they're actually multiple problems at times.
Yeah.
And so multiple responses, I believe, are better. Just like I wouldn't want to only be empathetic. I wouldn't want to only validate the way you're thinking.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to say, oh, you should try EMDR. Just like as a blanket response.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I like that approach because I definitely for myself feel like, yeah, sometimes a negative emotion comes on and I'm like, why am I feeling a little pissy right now? What is my deal? And sometimes I can track it, sometimes I can be like, oh, it's because I got this text that kind of bugged me. and then one other tiny little thing happened and then my fork fell off of the table and now I'm pissy. Right?
It must have been the fork.
Because why can't I have these stupid butterfingers, or you're pissed at your waiter or something. And then sometimes I'm like, oh no, it's because of this dumb little text. And then it's helpful to be like, but why does this text affect me so much? Yeah. And sometimes I don't like the answers, so I go away. You know what I mean?
You go away.
I leave. I don't entertain that thought too deeply.
I thought you were saying you have an out of body experience.
No,
I'm out. I'll be back later.
I'm going into the great Elysium. No, I just sometimes you're not willing to to really figure out why something is so upsetting to you because it'll be more upsetting.
Yeah. If I were to say there's danger in looking for the why, where would your mind go?
I would say, is that because you can just go down too dark of a rabbit hole?
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, man, why am I so unhappy with my meal? it must have been that thing I did in childhood.
Right. Right. Yeah. If you go too deep, you're like, is my childhood really affecting my like mildly cold spaghetti? That's okay. That's going to be difficult to maneuver through life if I'm that affected by everything,
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of the dangers that I've considered for looking for the why is that I'm aware that the mind can make up reasons. So if, for example, if I am feeling tired and hungry and sleep deprived.
It's tired and sleep deprived.
Yes, tired and sleep
Are you
deprived.
tired and sleep deprived right now?
No,
Okay.
I'm just really good at making lists.
Okay.
Okay. So if I'm tired and hungry, and I feel a little bit off emotionally, and I look for why, or even if it's passive, the mind might suggest that it's my wife.
Right.
And
it might just be a sandwich that you need.
Or the cold spaghetti.
Right, right.
Yeah. So we that happens, right? The mind will sometimes catastrophize things or find reasons to explain what we're experiencing biologically.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
I should have done this because I couldn't say the word right.
Biology. Okay. Yeah, and mix that with catastrophize. That's
I've got so many words.
That's quite a mouthful, yeah.
That, it's mostly words that come out of my mouth.
True, same. Yeah, sometimes it's just like some onomatopoeia. But tell me what it was like being a single dad. You were a single dad for a while.
It was a wonderful experience in compassion. I finally understood why some people didn't love Mother's Day. I understood why some people found it hard to be a fun parent.
Yeah.
Right. Oh, you're kind of exhausted.
Yeah.
How
many kids did you have?
I had 3. And now I have 5.
Okay.
Yeah. Which 20 years ago would have been like having 10 kids.
Right. You're like almost a baker's dozen.
Yes. That's how people respond to that. I have 5 kids. Oh, what religion are you?
Yeah.
Are you in that Quiverful church?
Yeah. Okay, so what was the hardest part for you?
Being a single dad?
Yeah.
It wasn't hard to love my children and show up for them. But it was difficult to financially provide. Like, I didn't know how to do that and be a good dad.
Yeah.
It was also hard to date and think about
yourself.
Well, I think thinking about myself is pretty easy.
Yeah. Right.
I think. Oh, I see where you're going with that. Like, yeah, it wasn't hard to care for my children, but it was hard, not to think about myself, but to believe at times that dating was going to result in a good relationship. And I had several experiences where a woman was, I guess, into me, but not into being a stepmom.
Right.
And I was a little surprised at that, just because I like the idea of being a stepdad. I like being an uncle. I like caring for children.
Right.
Of course, it's different.
Yeah.
But it was hard for me to imagine why being a stepmother was so daunting.
Mm-hmm.
And so then it became hard for me to believe that I would find someone that was going to take me on, I guess.
Yeah, yeah. And was getting over that simply meeting the right person?
I think only partly.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was also just continually trying to have hope
Mm-hmm.
and believing. And one thing that I would tell myself was my ability to love is not broken.
Yeah.
So I may have a broken family, but
Mm-hmm.
my ability to love is not broken. And that was a hopeful thought for me.
Yeah. I really like that. Yeah, I think about that a lot. Like, I think sometimes people, when they've experienced a lot of pain or rejection or heartbreak, especially, it's easy to tell yourself, back to, our mind will tell us anything. It's easy to tell yourself that I don't have much more love to give. I'm exhausted. I've given so much and maybe haven't gotten in return what I wanted, and I'm like spent. I've like my heart is fully out there and there's no more heart left, but I feel like that's not true. I feel like you can always love more.
Mm,
You always have. I feel like love is an inexhaustible well.
oh, I love that.
Do you agree with that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's very similar to an idea that I attribute to my supervisor, Mike Williams. He kind of takes this idea that, oh, I'm low on patience, I'm running on low on patience, or my cup isn't filled.
Mm-hmm.
And he says, why do we have like a car or an engine analogy running through our mind about our mind?
Right. Right.
It's like we are not engines. In fact, as human beings, we can generate some of this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
We're not consuming the patience. Oh, I need to grab all of this. I need people to love me so that I can then love other people.
Yeah.
It's more like within me, I have this ability to generate this goodness.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I love how you put that. It's like a never-ending well
Yeah.
of love.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and then that's a good point. I haven't thought about it in terms of patience. Like I I can have endless patience. I might I might feel impatient in a moment. I might be overwhelmed in a moment, but to think that I'm I'm on E, like
Yeah.
I and once I get to E, like that's it. There's no more patience.
Right.
That doesn't really make any sense,
Yeah.
It's funny, the other day somebody asked me, like, in terms of, being single and wanting love, wanting to get married, and so many people struggle with that. This woman asked me, like, how do you continually hold on to hope? And I was like, I'm not really comfortable with the alternative. Like, I believe that there's no end to my hope.
Mm.
I'll hold on forever. That's how. And maybe it sounded like a bit trite to her, but I was like, I'm being serious. Like, I don't think, to me the alternative is, okay, I guess I give up.
Yeah.
I guess I quit. And that's not really satisfying to me. So I'm going to hold on to hope.
Yeah. What um I'm sure you've dated a lot.
Unfortunately. Yeah.
And so I wonder, how have those experiences not traumatized you into a lack of hope?
Mm.
Because this woman,
Mm-hmm.
she probably had an unenthusiastic response to your idea of hope because she's been through some stuff.
Yeah.
So how have you not been traumatized into a place where you don't have hope anymore?
That's a good question. I guess I almost reject the idea that I've been traumatized, even though I'm sure I have technically.
Mm-hmm.
Because yeah, I've dealt with so much rejection and heartbreak just time and time and time again. And obviously like there's been many situations where I was the one breaking the heart or ending a relationship, but it's still painful
Right.
and it still like adds to that just bucket of grief and pain, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But I think along the way I've had so many wins that it has balanced it out a little bit, I guess. And I don't view a failed relationship as a failure for myself.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, no, most of that was success. Like, I was able to date this person that I thought was amazing and wonderful. So that's not a huge L for me. It might feel like it emotionally because I'm so hurt, but I feel blessed and I feel grateful and I feel honored that I was even in the arena with this caliber of person, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I've shown myself time and time again that I can have really special, really sacred love. And so, yes, it's those dreams have been dashed and and I've experienced a lot of hurt, but along the way I can't look at it so black and white and be like, well, because I've had my heart broken so many times, I have to be sad or discouraged or hopeless. I'm like, no, I've had my heart broken a million times, but now my heart is wide open.
Mm-hmm.
Because my heart's been shattered so much, it's wide open. And I'm willing, like, people have said, like, how could you handle going through another heartbreak after such a bad heartbreak? And I'm like, because that's a possibility, right? I have to,
Yeah.
like, any great love comes with the possibility of tremendous heartbreak. So I don't have the option to close my heart off to it. Does
Mm-hmm.
that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. I think about meaning making, and it seems like you're really good at making a meaning out of your experience
Mm.
that serves you. Um, I'm also curious how do you feel about your power or ability with dating?
Mm-hmm. Probably depends on the day, right?
Yeah.
But I'm a big believer of I'm going to control the controllables, right? And not overly fret about the things that are outside of my control. And the complicated thing about dating is there's a lot within your control and a lot out of your control.
Yeah.
And those lines can get really blurry, I think. But, for myself, I know I can control if I'm struggling with meeting people or connecting or finding a girlfriend or whatever, I can look at it and be like, well, I can control how many girls I approach, how many girls I ask out, if I'm on the dating apps, if I'm open to connection, I can control all of that,
Yeah.
right? I can't always control if somebody likes me back, but I can control, okay, maybe I could get in better shape. Maybe I could become more attractive, more appealing, more qualified, more whatever. And then maybe I'll get rejected less, right?
Yeah.
I can control a certain amount of that. Um, whether somebody inside of a relationship wants to end up with me for time and all eternity, I don't have much control over that. I don't have much control over reciprocation of feelings,
Yeah.
you know?
Mm-hmm.
So it's tough because, in a way, I feel really powerful because I'm like, yeah, I can, like, one day have no options. And then I see a cute girl, I talk to her, I ask her out, and all of a sudden I've got an option. I've got something on the horizon. And then sometimes you go on date after date after date, and it's like not a connection, not a connection, not a connection. And you're like, wow, I'm powerless. I got
Mm.
nothing.
Yeah.
So it really ebbs and flows.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was partly curious about that because I believe that people who maintain their sense of power
Mm-hmm.
and agency tend to be more emotionally, mentally healthy.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, I think a lot of times when we show up to therapy, it would not be far off to think of it as, hey, I lost my connection with my power and my ability to choose. Can you help me find it?
Yeah.
Because that's kind of what hard things does to us.
Yeah.
Anyways, I love that you have hope.
Yeah.
That's pretty amazing.
Thanks, man. Yeah, I just feel like for myself, you talk about meaning making.
Yeah.
I really like that phrase. Any alliteration, I'm game for.
Oh, okay.
But
I'll try to use more alliteration.
yeah, that'd be ideal. I also like limericks.
Oh, I'm
If
not
you-
very good at
Okay.
We could call my dad. He might be able to help with the
Okay.
limericks.
Yeah, we'll call him after the episode. But for myself, with meaning making, I feel like if I don't find meaning, if I don't seek out silver linings, if I don't seek out purpose and joy, the alternative to me is pretty quickly nihilism.
Hmm.
And that's darkness for me.
Yeah.
And so it's not always easy to have hope, and it's not always easy to see the good and to seek out purpose and find meaning, but I just know the alternative is icky.
Yeah.
It gives me a stomach ache, you know?
Yeah. I've experienced periods of really strong nihilism.
Yeah.
It's rough.
Yeah. Yeah. It just, yeah, to me, yeah, the opposite of meaning is saying, well, there's no meaning anywhere,
Yeah.
And then it's like, okay, well, what am I doing?
Mhm.
What's the point of anything? And that's really dark.
Yeah. Why am I cooking this pasta? I could just eat it as it is.
Right.
That's kind of what nihilism is. Is
Yeah.
like there's no point to effort.
Yeah.
Because there's no meaning.
Yeah. Then you're just eating ramen cakes.
Yeah. But you like it.
Yeah.
And then you have to ask your therapist why you like it.
Well, I feel like, I'm sure, I'd love your perspective on this. I feel like as humans, we can get addicted to almost any behavior, right?
Mm-hmm.
And quite easily. If we do it enough, it becomes addictive. Maybe not in a really pernicious, insidious way, but we can get addicted to self-pity. We can get addicted to nihilistic thoughts. We can get addicted to being depressed. What's your take on that?
All repeated behavior is rewarded behavior.
Mm-hmm.
Even the nonsensical behavior and the damaging or self-sabotaging behavior.
Yeah.
So if I'm doing self-harm, like it's very clearly damaging.
Yeah.
Why am I doing that? Because the brain is rewarded by a sense of control or a distraction from other pain.
So it's some dopaminergic hit, even if it's not maybe in the normal sense of the word.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like self-harm is a great example. There's nothing pleasurable about that.
Yeah.
But the mental experience of it can be pleasurable because I've been through some crap, and so I really need some control.
Mm-hmm.
I really need to feel something other than what I'm feeling. Or I feel so numb, I need to feel anything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So our idea of emotional reward is sometimes synonymous with pleasure, but that's not actually how the brain works.
Yeah. I'd love your thoughts on this. I saw this girl the other day. Like I went back home for the 4th of July and was at some, like fair, carnival, festival, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So there's just a million people around. And I saw this teenage girl that I think had the most like cuts I've ever seen, ever. Just like all across both arms. She was wearing shorts all down both legs. And it absolutely broke my heart because part of me thought, okay, even though cutting is such a, I get why they do it, but it's still so foreign to my brain, right?
Yeah.
But in her case, I was like, this looks way more like an absolute cry for help because it's so visible, right?
Yeah.
And it's not just, a lot of times, they'll cut on their upper thigh and so no one sees it, or they'll cut up on the bicep and no one can see it, but it was just so blatant and so out there, and it really hurt my heart because I was like, this girl is obviously in a tremendous amount of pain and has no idea how to deal with it.
Yeah.
Have you had patients that have struggled with that?
Yeah. And I like that observation that very often self-harm, part of the mind is reductive to how the brain actually works, but part of the mind wants to make it visible because we would like some help.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I like that observation. But I think that girl you saw at the fair, I think what you're saying, implying, is that it's sad because there's not intervention. Somebody's not helping her, or at least they're not able to be successful.
Mm-hmm.
It's like so many cries for help, just like literally worn on her skin.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. We have a whole cycle of experience. That's one way to see addiction or repetitive behavior.
Mm-hmm.
But very often, when you go to help for somebody, you're like, I don't want to do this behavior anymore. Can you help me?
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, why don't you when you get to this point in the cycle, just don't.
Yeah.
Right? Like, because we're not sure what else to do. But I believe that it's worthwhile to look at every point in your cycle
Mm-hmm.
and find a way to stop it there, or prevent,
Mm-hmm.
or fortify something. So yeah, that's an approach
Mm-hmm.
when someone's self-harming, or really any cyclical unwanted behavior.
Yeah, if they're trying to stop drinking alcohol or viewing pornography or something, you try to figure out. Yeah, you can't say, okay, right before you do it, don't.
Yeah.
That's great advice, but not especially helpful. It's got to be way before that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's got to be at almost every point, because if you use whatever your use is, then you feel a little bit of relief, and then you start to feel guilt or shame. And the guilt or shame feels a lot like the distress that brought you to it in the first place.
Yeah.
So that's why it's important to, I'm not just going to work on preventing the behavior. I'm going to work on my emotional experience with shame and guilt, so that it's not as powerful and driving me toward seeking some temporary relief again.
Yeah. What's the difference, the key difference between guilt and shame?
For me, shame is very external, relational, social. It tends to actually disconnect us from our values.
Okay.
But guilt is internal. It aligns with our values, and so it can actually help us get back to our values,
Okay.
the behavior that we wanted to be exhibiting.
Okay. So guilt is more or less a good emotion. It's instructive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can I force you to feel guilty? Probably not.
Mm-hmm.
And like if I'm like, Taylor, I saw what you did to that car in the parking lot, you're not going to feel any guilt because you didn't do anything.
Mm-hmm.
But if I don't know, make you feel bad about your hat, you are wearing the hat,
Right.
but I can relationally try to affect how you feel about it.
Uh-huh.
I can try to create shame around something that is, I don't know, just really, really visible and really observable by society,
Yeah.
the people in your life.
Yeah. Listen, this is my dead grandpa's hat.
And that's why I want to say the best things I can about it.
Okay. Tell me about what it was like when you met your current wife.
It was interesting because it wasn't like revelatory
Mm-hmm.
or like oh, this all mentally clicks.
Mm-hmm.
It was a very strong emotional connection. And it was playful.
Okay, yeah.
And I think that's something that is missing from dating.
Mm-hmm.
Because flirting is actually is in essence, it's playing around with the ambiguity.
Right.
And if
Because you don't super flirt with your wife because there's the ambiguity's gone, right? It's way more intentional.
Well, not for us. I'm not sure.
Things are a little up in the air.
Every day I'm trying to find out, does she like me?
Yeah.
No. You're totally right. Yeah, flirting is like playing around with the ambiguity. And if we were to use a meaning-making lens, let's make that fun,
Mm-hmm.
right? Rather than fearful.
Yeah.
Oh crap! I'm like on the verge of being slammed down, rejected.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe, but when someone responds with playfulness,
Mm-hmm.
like my wife did,
Yeah,
it's like magical.
Right.
It means there's an emotional openness, and she had every reason to be traumatized,
Mm-hmm.
closed off.
Yeah.
But I loved that.
Yeah.
I loved seeing her playfulness. And oh man, the draw, the connection, the magneticism is so powerful. In fact, I went out, like, I got her number that night,
Mm-hmm.
and as I was leaving, I was like, don't find a boyfriend while I'm gone. I'm going out of town, but I'll be back soon.
Please. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool, man. It's funny. I had a date last night and we were like sharing some shaved ice in this big, like, I don't know, Hawaiian container. And, I'm spooning, she's spooning. And at one point I just like, her spoon was down there and I just like took whatever's off on her spoon and just took it off. and she just started laughing and it was fun for her because it was playfulness, but like, it's kind of a risky move sometimes because she could have been like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
But to me, it's not a big risk because I want somebody that would react positively.
Yeah.
Right. So
Exactly.
I'm going to be myself and I'm going to be playful and weird and silly because if you don't react the right way, you're not the person for me.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. And think a lot of therapists have some version of this saying, it's all good information.
Yeah.
If don't be afraid of the information. Don't be afraid of the risk.
Yeah.
Because if someone is horribly closed off and not playful, that's important to know as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
I had a couple in session and they've lived their lives together. And I wanted to do a little exercise to find out some things and so that they could explore how they felt about some things. So I said, okay, let's play a little game. And immediately, both of them, like almost in unison, were like, we don't play games. And I was like,
that's a problem.
Yeah, I was thinking, oh, there's a great wall of China running through your minds.
Yeah, wow.
I wonder what this is about.
Yeah. Dang.
I think growing up kind of trains the playfulness out of us, because we're afraid of something because of risk.
Yeah.
We don't see it as synonymous or compatible with maturity. But there are many, many adult situations where playfulness is the most healthy, most mature response.
Yeah.
And having children and raising children is a great reminder of that.
Yeah.
I mean, how many of our parents were not at all playful, but we're like an authority figure?
Yeah.
But when a parent is playful, I would go so far as to say 9 out of 10 discipline problems are better addressed with playfulness.
Interesting.
At least for young children.
Yeah.
Like pre-puberty. Because that's where their mind is at.
Yeah. Wow. What is, when you have couples come in, what do you feel like is the number one thing that couples come in to sort of say, like, this is our problem, this is what we're struggling with? Or do you see maybe a couple patterns that you're like, this is pretty textbook? Couple comes in, they think this is the problem, and okay, if we can just solve this, we'll be happy and we'll stay married.
Yeah. I think it's almost always an empathy problem. They think that they want sympathy, which has a reflective or matching quality to it. But empathy is emotional understanding without responsibility. Like, I understand what it's like to date, but I'm not trying to fix it for you.
Yeah.
I don't feel like you're blaming me by sharing your experiences with dating.
Right.
But very often in couples, because someone sees their partner as an extension of themselves or an answer to their lack, then they're not truly showing up with empathy. They're taking blame. They're perceiving things as blame. They feel like they need to fix. All of that, those are forms of emotional responsibility.
Yeah, yeah.
How independent do you think you want to be with your wife? I mean, emotionally independent. How much emotional independence do you want with your relationship with your wife?
I don't know. That's tough. I want to be I want us to have zero conversations that are taboo. I want us to have all the hard conversations, and I think the more often you have them, they become not that hard,
Mm,
you know? Like
yeah.
I love Jordan Peterson says, couples need to have 1,000 fights and then they don't have to have any anymore, and that's,
Hmm.
maybe a bit reductive, but it's just essentially saying if you can learn how to negotiate and learn how to have hard conversations in the beginning when you notice all these crazy differences and struggles and some dissonance, you can learn to solve it, and then after a while you don't have to keep having these fights because you've had them.
Mm,
you know
yeah.
I don't know that I answered your question at all.
The answer I heard was that you love Jordan Peterson. Just,
That's,
just,
I'm just trying to get him on the show, whatever it takes. you know
just kidding. The answer I heard was that you want really to be very connected.
yeah,
You
yeah,
you don't want to have. You want to be able to very low shame, and be able to talk about anything together.
yeah. And even like, it's funny, I think partly I'm such an extroverted person, I don't feel much need like for alone time.
Mm,
um Although, like, there's certain, like, I need some alone time to get certain things done, like I'm a writer and I'm doing social media all the time. There's certain things where I'm like, I need some alone time because I need to get stuff done, but I always prefer to be with people. And so when it comes to my wife, like, I might have things that don't super involve her, like I'm on a men's basketball league or whatever. But I would love if she came to my games, and I would love if she asked about my games and was
mm,
curious. And it's not like I'm like a freaking all-star and and need a cheerleader,
yeah.
but I just want my person to be invested in my life,
Yeah.
right? And all that stuff makes me feel more seen and appreciated.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to do the same for her. If she's like, well, I have my I have my book club with my girls, like that's my thing. I don't, that's fine, but I want to hear about it. I want to hear about what book you're reading. I probably want to read it too because I want to be so connected that way.
Yeah.
Um, but maybe it's sounding like I'm like really dependent on like codependent, but I love the idea of being so invested in my person's life, you know.
Yeah. Have you figured out what the difference between codependence and being invested is for you?
I think, yeah, I think when it's codependency, it's like I need that thing to fulfill me, like being connected to her to make me happy, where it's like I intrinsically can find my own happiness.
Mm-hmm.
And part of that is probably because I've been single for so long. I had to figure it out, right?
Yeah.
And so, um, to me, it's not codependency. It's just wanting to be with somebody. It's just wanting to be in their orbit and know them fully. I think I said in my last episode, like I want to have a PhD in my partner,
Yeah.
you know, and I want, after I get the PhD, I want to continue to study it.
It's
you know,
a postdoc.
yeah, and I want a postdoc, and I'm gonna just keep getting degrees. Um, and I don't think that's codependency. Do you?
No,
Yeah.
I love that view. Um, what it reminds me of is agency and choice,
Mm-hmm.
and motivation and tension, like we were talking about earlier. Why are you so invested?
Mm-hmm.
Um, because I choose to, because I find good meaning in it. Whereas, um, I don't know, like a secret agent or a stalker
Mm-hmm.
could have a PhD on your wife too.
Right. Yeah, not great intentions. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's funny. This girl I used to date, like, I really really cared about her, and she was amazing in so many ways. one thing I struggled with is she had all these parts of her life that she just kind of wanted for herself
Mm.
and didn't really want to let me in.
Mm-hmm.
And they weren't even big things, but like I remember she was telling me about her favorite book, and I was like, "Oh, like I would love to read that because I want to, like, if it's that important to you that it's your favorite book, I want it not necessarily to be my new favorite book, but I want to know what it was that moved you and what it was that you enjoyed so much, you know?" And she was kind of like, You wouldn't like it." Like, almost like, I don't want you to ruin it for me in case you don't love it as much as I do, you know?
Yeah.
And I was like, I get that approach, but I just want, to me, it's another way to connect, you
Mm-hmm.
know? And because I like you so much, I want to know why you like things,
Mm.
you know?
Yeah.
And, you know, I was like, I want to come like hang out with your best friend because that's your best friend. Again, I don't want to make it my new best friend, but I want to see why that person's so important to you. And she was kind of like, I don't know that you guys would have that much in common, you know?
Yeah.
And that was hard for me.
Well, yeah, I don't like associating with people I don't have anything in common with.
Right, right.
Um, could you be happy in a relationship where you have a PhD in her and she has an associate's in you?
I don't think so.
What would it mean that she has only an associate's in you?
To me, this isn't necessarily the truth, but it would feel like she doesn't care as much as I do,
Mm.
right? Because she just is like, yeah, I'll go to a junior college and you're over here trying to get into an Ivy League, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, it would just feel like, why do I care more than you? You know? I want
Yeah.
somebody that's like, no, I also want a PhD.
Mm-hmm.
Is that the correct answer?
The correct answer, no, they're all correct answers.
Right.
There are very few shoulds in life, but a lot of choices with a lot of consequences.
Yeah.
And I feel like you'll see this couple, they're high conflict.
Mm-hmm.
They're happy.
Yeah.
They love each other.
Mm-hmm.
This couple, they're low conflict. They're happy. They love each other.
Mm-hmm.
This one's high conflict. This one is not.
Yeah.
They can also be happy.
Yeah.
You thought I was going to say something else. No.
Well,
They can be happy, right?
uh-huh.
If there was a prerequisite to disappointment, relational disappointment, what would one of them be?
Um, a lack of effort,
Mm.
a lack of, I think empathy is a big one that you talked about.
Yeah. Yeah. I like both of those things to look for. One of them that I think about a lot is expectation.
Mm-hmm.
If this low conflict partner and this high conflict partner are expecting this of each other,
Yeah.
then it works and they're happy.
Right.
I think it's good that you know that about yourself.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. Like I know I can't deal with high conflict. I'm not interested, you know?
Yeah.
And to me, it's often, if there's frequent conflict, to me, it's a sign of either immaturity or unhealthiness.
Yeah.
Even if you have found a way to make it work, to me, it's a no-go.
Yeah.
Yeah. And part of that is I grew up in such a low conflict home. To me, if somebody's like yelling, I'm like, what is your problem? What is happening? Why? What is happening?
That's cool. Because I would have assumed that you would have a legacy burden of conflict from the demolition derby.
Right. Yeah, but it's more like a vehicular issue.
Which may be higher stakes.
Yeah, yeah. But listen, I've totaled some cars, so I guess this is starting to add up.
That's right. We all have a legacy
Yeah,
burden.
you gotta be careful what hats you wear to therapy.
We got rid of all the psychoanalysts.
um, how often do you find men in your practice that, whether admittedly they're struggling with this or their partner is really frustrated with their inability to just open up, and be vulnerable?
It's hard to say, but I think it's safe to say that it's common enough problem.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, being a therapist, I like to say that I also see it in women.
Yeah.
But they protect in different ways,
Mm-hmm.
as a generalization.
Yeah.
So I think we all have protective mechanisms.
Mm-hmm.
And that's also a very good way to see any therapy work, any client.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, I'm here to because I have some protective mechanisms that are getting in the way of the rest of me showing up in life. Could you help me?
Right.
So we all have different ways of protecting a part of ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
So this woman, she might be verbose.
Yeah.
She might express a lot of anger.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm very in touch with I say it like how it is. Yeah. I have no problem saying how I feel.
Yeah.
Maybe you have more to say underneath the strong emotion of anger.
Right.
What are the vulnerable or gentle emotions that you're protecting?
Yeah. Isn't anger, I heard somewhere that anger is a secondary emotion, that it's usually from sadness or something else.
Yeah, I think that's a really great way to see anger.
Yeah.
What do you make of Christ turning over the tables, casting out money changers? There's something in Mark that I love where it says something to the effect that he answered with anger.
Mm. Yeah, that's a really complex scene in the New Testament. I think it's hard because I'm like, I don't know that in and of itself anger is sinful or wrong, right?
Yeah.
I think it's often attached to sinful behavior and wrongful doing, right?
Yeah.
But in and of itself, I don't know that it's wrong. I think it's just usually misplaced. I think in that situation, it was done to prove a point and to, I don't know, express the sacredness of a place and the seriousness of it all. And I don't think in that particular instance he could have done it gently. Right?
Yeah.
And I think a true sign of masculinity is your ability to harness anger and to harness really strong emotions and be self-disciplined enough to use them appropriately.
Yeah.
Right? Because as a father, if you're feeling like your children are being messed with by some stranger or something, anger is going to be a pretty immediate response, right?
Yeah.
And aggression, right? And it's up to you to be self-disciplined and decide, does this person just need a stern talking to, or do they need to be beat up? Mm-hmm. Depending on the severity of the approach. And so, I don't think anger is necessarily a bad thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I have pretty similar thoughts.
Mhm.
Love that. And I love that you brought up the idea of protection, because you also talked about protecting the temple or something that's sacred.
Mhm.
Anger is very often an emotion that indicates value and protection of the value.
Yeah.
Yeah, if a child is being abused or hurt, I will respond with anger.
Right.
And that is moral
Mhm. Yeah.
and ethical.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. I've never really I've thought about that scene, that biblical scene, but I've never really discussed it. Um, what do you say to men or women that you're trying to get stuff out of them and they're just giving you the bare minimum? They're like, for some reason they've decided to go to therapy, but it feels like anything you ask, they just say, I don't know, I haven't thought about it, or yeah, I feel okay, I feel fine.
Yeah. I think one thing I try to do as a therapist is to grow white hair so that they look at me and they're like,
Oh, this guy,
can be trusted.
right, right, and
He's been around.
yeah, you've done a fine job.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm working on the beard now. When people are reticent, that is when it's very helpful to ask why.
Why they're reticent?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think some form of protection is almost always part of the explanation.
Yeah.
But if someone is experiencing autism and they're what we would call like level 1, where they're high functioning, they're verbal, it might seem like they're just closed off. And maybe they are. Maybe that's partly informed by their experience as a person in society who experiences autism. I've said so many things where people responded hostilely.
With hostility?
With hostility. And so I'm very careful about what I say. Right? But again, that's a form of protection.
Yeah.
So what will help this person to feel safety, emotional safety? A good place to start is empathy. In other words, emotional understanding without responsibility.
Yeah.
Even though I'm your therapist, I'm not going to fix you. I'm not going to hear it as blame, even if you have some negative things to say about dark-haired men, you know, or that you had a bad experience with a therapist.
Yeah.
I'm not going to believe that your negative experiences say anything about me. I get to act in choice about how I show up. Does that answer the question?
Yeah. Do you feel like sometimes it's helpful to expand people's vocabulary that are struggling with emoting and saying, okay, the only words you ever use to describe an emotion is fine, okay, good, or bad, or whatever. Let's try horrible or disgusted or troubled. Like, is that a useful practice to just say, like, okay, I know you say you just feel fine, but what's another word for that?
Yeah. I see. I tend to think of that as emotional education. And there are any number of exercises that help someone with their emotional education. But vocabulary is huge. And so one way to go about it is not to try to assign words to something they're already describing,
Yeah.
but to do the reverse. Here's some words. Here's an emotion wheel. What do you resonate with?
Okay. Yeah.
In the last week, what did you experience? Okay, this one, can you tell me about that?
Yeah.
And honestly, very few of us are using all of these emotions on the emotion wheel. We tend to have our favorites.
Yeah.
Because we feel safe.
Right.
I feel safe with anger.
Right.
You know, I always get what I always know what to expect when I'm angry.
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny. A lot of times when people ask me like how I'm doing, you know, it's the most general question anyone ever gets. I'll often say, I'm not sure. Like not in like some morose way, but just like I don't know that I could appropriately pinpoint it with one word. Like I'm a lot of things. Like yesterday I was a little bummed, but I was also excited about this news.
Yeah.
And I'm fulfilled with this. And obviously that's a complex answer to a really simple pleasantry. But
Right.
sometimes that's how I feel when people ask me how I am. I'm like, that's such a loaded question. I don't know where to go from here. I'm like, okay, let's go to dinner and discuss it, you know?
Yeah. Have you tried pulling out the emotion wheel?
I don't have a physical one. I probably maybe need to get one. I've got a thesaurus.
Someone could ask you at any moment.
Yeah.
I knocked this mic, so I'm going to move it back a little.
Oh, it's good. Yeah.
So you're thinking about how to improve what you do as a coach?
Yeah. Yeah. I'm always interested in that. I think I would say, okay, I'm curious about this. I would say my biggest issue sometimes is feeling like, is this person getting anything out of this? Like they keep wanting to come back, they keep wanting to meet, but they're not giving me a ton to work with, and they're just kind of relaying facts to me, and we're kind of just going in circles now.
Yeah.
Because they're not willing to go any deeper. And it's tough because I'm like, if this is helpful for you, I want to keep doing it, but it doesn't feel especially helpful. Do you ever feel like that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I hear from colleagues.
Yeah.
I think it's pretty common. What does it say about the human experience that so many people seek help and then they do that? They just kind of have a conversation, or they just are kind of shallow in the conversation.
Yeah.
I think one of the thoughts I've had is that, again, they're protecting. I have clients who have come from very emotionally closed off homes where the expression of emotion wasn't allowed, let alone encouraged.
Yeah.
And so they might need emotional education. But for the most part, I think people have enough awareness of their emotional experience. They're waiting to feel safe with me, or safe with people in general.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so even though it doesn't feel like progress, the working on the therapeutic relationship is continual.
Right.
It's like there's this waveform that needs to be happening, and then this showed up in the song. A little bit of trauma,
Yeah.
you know, but working on the relationship, it's got to be always there.
Yeah. Yeah. I heard that, I don't know if this is accurate or just one random study, but I heard that 80% of the success in a therapeutic relationship is based on just the connection with your therapist and has nothing to do with the therapist's training or skill set.
Mm-hmm.
And that only accounts for 10% of the success. And I think the other 10 was like the current state of the world or whatever.
Yeah.
Have you heard that?
Yeah.
Do you believe that?
I don't know if I believe it. I think I believe the conclusion, which is that the relationship is probably most important.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's hard to quantify that. It's hard to get really accurate data, I guess.
Yeah. And I'm not trying to be like an offender for a word or like a stickler on the details. But I just want to believe that there are many instances where wisdom or knowledge can make a difference.
Yeah.
Which is very often why people bring up that study, is to say the opposite.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, so that's why I say I don't know if I believe.
Right.
I believe the conclusion of the actual study, just to say this is very important.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting. All right, we'll wrap up here in a second. I wanted to ask, this is maybe a weird question. After sitting here, and I'm sure you've become very just acute at maybe noticing people's tendencies or patterns, or maybe some just things hiding beneath veneers, right? And I'm sure you could, when people come in and talk to you, you can probably pretty accurately be like, well, I don't know for sure, but I would guess this is, something you're struggling with or whatever. Yeah. Do you feel like after talking for an hour and a half, you have any assumptions about me or like predictions?
Yeah. Well, if I knew I was going to get asked this, I would have wanted to ask certain questions.
Oh, yeah. You can backtrack and ask if you want.
I will tell you what I'm curious about. I'm curious about the pattern of relationships. Like if there are any patterns, how do they dissolve? When has a relationship been really great for you? And I'm assuming that that's like right at the top of the list of things you care about right now. And like, yeah. I'm also curious. You kind of described your family. You strike me as sentimental. You're wearing your grandfather's hat. You're partially nonconformist, like in your appearance, facial hair, longer hair. You don't do your podcast in a button-up shirt.
Right.
You care very much about warmth and connection, which I'm guessing is why you're so good at what you do. So I haven't really heard any pain points from you except maybe the dating thing. Like that's difficult. So what would my very unprofessional guess be? meaning it's unprofessional to guess and
Sure.
judge people.
Yeah.
I would guess that your strength or strengths are showing up as weaknesses with dating. And so I would try to maintain curiosity around that and explore it with you to see if there's any validity to that, to see if it helps you.
Yeah.
So strengths of like low conflict, high hope and positive views, and within those, make it a separate one, is ideals around relationships. And so I would probably explore those next with you to see if those are making it difficult to find the woman you want to be with.
Yeah.
This is really oversimplified, but basically, like, does coming from a great home make it difficult to connect with women who come from not so great homes?
That's a good question. I think I don't care about someone's past or the fact that they've had difficulty or trauma. In fact, sometimes it's really attractive that they've overcome things or whatever. But I think maybe, I struggle with certain behaviors that I'm like, I don't need to deal with this. This is unnecessary conflict. And I think obviously we don't need to do a deep dive into this, but I think sometimes the crux of the issue maybe for me is I really like people, right? I easily like people. I easily connect with people, but it's very rare for me to feel deeply connected in a romantic way.
Oh.
Right? Like I don't, because if that was easy, I would have been married at 21. Right? I feel like even though I date a lot, to have a really deep connection and really like someone, I feel like it's happened like 5 or 6 times ever. And that's pretty rare. It's not great numbers.
Yeah.
And so it feels like, even though I date frequently, it feels like I get maybe 1 to 3 good looks a year. Meaning
a chance at a good,
at the kind of person I want to be with, right? And I don't feel like it's so little that my expectations are too high or that I'm delusional, right? Because I am getting these looks,
Yeah.
But yeah, I think ultimately I'm looking for a deeply rare human. And that's tough.
Yeah. Well, I love that.
Yeah.
Like, if you're able to balance that with your urge for connection, like choosiness, for lack of a better word, I think that's awesome. So my prediction, just based on that, would be like you're going to end up with somebody amazing, and like you're going to have an incredible family. Like your children will grow up and really a lot of health.
Yeah.
One thing I do believe is that you already spoke to this, everybody has baggage. So more important than even where we're at is like whether we're capable of the vulnerability and unpacking together. But yeah, like you've already expressed that you believe that. What areas were you hoping for me to make a guess about?
I don't know.
Because dating seemed like the only direction to go.
Right? Yeah. I don't know. I guess I'm just always interested at how much a therapist can read someone's personality.
Oh,
You know.
yeah. Well, I will say I love being surprised.
Yeah.
Because my whole thing, if I have a style
Mm-hmm.
or a modality,
Mm-hmm.
it would be collaborative dialogical practice, which isn't a modality, because the philosophy is I do not know.
Mm-hmm.
And if I maintain a position of not knowing, I'm more likely to ask you something that neither of us know the answer to.
Right.
And really great things will come out of that.
Yeah.
If I know the answers and you don't, and you're coming to me for the answers,
Mm-hmm.
that's like an advice booth.
Yeah.
And you know how effective is that? We do better with a heuristic experience where we're coming to things on our own.
Yeah.
And so I love it. If my mind has somehow like creeped into making a judgment about somebody, I love it when I'm then disproven.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that. Yeah, I think that's a good approach just with people in general.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will say in my limited experience as a therapist, there are a lot of surprises.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that at least for me, I did not know the kinds of things that people were going through.
Yeah.
I knew that those things existed, but I didn't know. I would never have guessed, oh, you have that kind of face, you dress that way,
right,
and you experience that thing.
Yeah. I've as I've been doing some coaching, I've had a similar experience where I'm like, wow, I can't believe, like, sure, this person is struggling with maybe addiction or whatever, but they were also abused as a child, and also their brother is going through this, and their friend did this, and just the complexity of humans is absolutely mind blowing.
Yeah.
And sometimes it takes a really long time for them to even bring up, oh, by the way, I've had a crazy childhood and I was abused. We've just been talking about addiction, or we've been talking about whatever.
Yeah.
And sometimes it takes a while to kind of peel back the layers.
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if they want to move on from that thing. And so they're talking about the current behavior.
Mm-hmm.
And then over the course of it, you're like, oh, maybe this thing that happened in childhood is connected.
Yeah.
In a couple of ways still. Like you have these core beliefs.
Yeah. Martin, any final thoughts, words, questions?
Not because it's necessary, but I'm just curious to see your response. Our society is so obsessed with specialization.
Mm-hmm.
It's important that I not just have a surgeon, but I want a surgeon that does left pinky surgeries.
Yeah.
What do you think has been the emotional effect of living in a specialized society?
I don't know, man. I feel like we want deeply, like, specific solutions to our problems, and we want them immediately, and we're quick to jump and say, like, okay, well, if this person isn't helping me, I'll go get somebody that's better at it or more specialized,
Mm.
right?
Yeah.
And I think sometimes that's maybe connected to the paradox of choice, right? And that can be problematic with dating too. Is saying, okay, I want to go see a therapist. I have 19 good friends that are meeting with therapists. 14 of them give really good recommendations. So what do? There's too many options, right?
Uh-huh.
And then I meet with a few, and then I'm like, no, I want somebody that is way more into IFS. I want somebody that is way more into this or specialized in this, has a history in this, and it can become just overwhelming. And then you get paralyzed and don't really do anything.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's your thought on it?
I like that connection to being paralyzed,
Mm-hmm.
because one thing that I've observed is people are afraid to do things or try things. It's like, oh, are you a singer? No, like, because I'm not a professional,
Yeah.
right? But I think humans are designed to experience more variety than we are.
Mm-hmm.
I think we are trying to specialize a little too much on the whole, and that there's something really good for us emotionally in having new experiences.
Yeah.
If you look at this is reductive neuroscience, but dopamine is not just a hormone. As a hormone, it's a reward hormone, but it's really cool. It has a role as a neurotransmitter as well.
Mm-hmm.
So it's taking this stuff around in the brain. And that function as dopamine, as a neurotransmitter, is a lot has a lot to do with executive function,
Mm-hmm.
which is a relatively new term for brain organization.
Yeah.
So like you can see the connection, having the dual role between pleasure and motivation. But one really cool thing is that when we have new or novel experiences,
Mm-hmm.
the brain responds with dopamine.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, you're going to need some dopamine to handle this.
Yeah.
I can tell you don't know what's up.
Right.
And so I think that's part of, like, from a societal perspective, our emotional health thing.
Mm.
I think it's important for us to have more new experiences.
Yeah.
Be connected with nature. Like, see a bird you've never seen before.
Mm-hmm.
Try something that's difficult for you.
Yeah. Yeah. One of the weird things about me is I'm like really obsessive about, like, I make lists, and like I have written down like every restaurant I've ever been to in my life, right? And part of that is I crave and love novelty. And so I love the idea of trying a new restaurant. And to me, sometimes that's how I get out of these little, um, just these little funks that I'm in. I'm like, I got to go do something new, you know? And it's listen to a new album, find a new artist, go visit a new town, eat a new eat at a new restaurant, watch a movie I've never seen. And of course, there's lots of like comfort in things that you're familiar with,
Yeah.
So I still have shows I go back to and movies I rewatch and books I reread, but I think there's a lot of beauty and utility in novelty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally agree.
Well, Martin, I wanted to say it's funny. I've had maybe 5 or 6 therapists on the show, and I have a few friends that are therapists, and I feel like there's this commonality between you guys that I'm sure isn't all therapists, obviously, but I feel like the good ones, or at least the ones I've enjoyed and have connected with, they all have a calmness about them and a thoughtfulness about them, and none of them seem to be in a rush to get to an answer or in a rush to show how intelligent they are, which is awesome because most of them are really intelligent, but it doesn't feel like that's the point, right? Which I don't always get that in other fields. Like, sometimes in the medical field or academia, like it feels like part of the point is for you to see how smart I am and how cleverly I got to point B, and yeah, it's a really cool mixture of qualities.
I'll try to work on that.
Yeah. Yeah, that'd be great. You obviously don't have them, but some others do. Oh, man.
Thank you.
Yeah, dude. Thanks for coming on, man.
Yeah, it's fun.
Okay. Sweet, dude.